you made a really clear distinction between three different ways of delivering power, would I say, or developing power?
Sure.
Something like that. And I thought it was quite nice, actually, and it was only when you mentioned it, I realized, yeah, that's very, very true, is that you can distinguish what people call internal force, excluding the people who don't believe in it, of course. But you can divide the internal force into three different levels. One would be a sort of physical fascia-based, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Soft tissue, fascia-based, stretching kind of stuff, internal force. Second one being chi.
Yeah.
Should stop there with that definition. And third one being mind tricks.
Yeah.
Maybe you would say.
But even not as, I mean, tricks has a negative sort of connotation, but yeah, mind.
So maybe you could explore those three. How you define those?
Okay, so the physical one,
Yeah.
I would define as developing the ability to access the silk inside the body, is what I call it, the fascia.
Okay.
Yeah. So in my opinion, when we talk about pulling silk, it's talking about that aspect of the training.
Okay.
The physical fascial network, stretching, unstretching, winding, doing all the stuff that
Stuff
it does.
that pulls and creates resistance inside your body when you move and stuff.
Physical differentials through the membranes.
Okay.
Yeah. So somewhere in the classics they say, the internal force uses the membranes, that kind of idea.
Sure, like I Ching methods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still the physical part of internal. And I think, I'm not saying that it's physical as in it's not internal, it's just the physical part of the internal.
But you're clearly distinguishing it between that and sort of muscular contraction and leverage.
Not muscular contraction and leverage around the bones.
Right.
It is the webbing, the fascial, some people call it the wetsuit, things like that. Moving inside.
Okay.
Yeah, and making a very specific kind of power. Now, most people, hardly anyone does that, but people that have any internal, there's a school that does that and develop that and think that that's it.
That's where I started, I think.
I think that's a very important
rebounding
part.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it can go a lot further than rebounding.
Sure.
But I think it's a very important part. And I think that the other aspects should also have that.
Right, sure.
Maybe it's foundational or something like that. So opening the body and all that is so you can develop that.
Okay, yes.
Now that's a big chunk of what we call the internal people that actually can do stuff.
So
A high percentage of if there's this many people that think they're doing internal arts and this many that can do something,
sure.
Right?
Yep.
Most of them are doing that.
Sure, yes.
Yeah. And then the next biggest chunk, which is almost everyone else, has developed some kind of mind skill.
Right, okay.
Yep. So they can
This is the one that's probably hardest for people to understand, I think, when we were chatting about it.
Yeah, it's difficult to explain what it is because you need mind skill to perceive it.
Go for it. You're on the spot. Do your best.
Well, they have some kind of meditative skill. Maybe they don't have the jhanas or chan, but they can make a frequency of mind and use intention and subtle sort of concept to affect the mind energy
of themselves
and the opponent,
right?
Partner.
Okay. Yes,
and it certainly works at a certain strata of resistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's quite important, isn't it? Within a certain, not even compliance, but a framework where the conditions have to be right between both people.
I mean, it would be pretty hard to do when somebody's trying to
hit you with a baseball bat.
Yeah, very difficult. Yeah. But the silk, the fascial thing, will work just fine against the guy with the baseball bat.
Sure.
If you're good enough at it.
Yeah, and you can make it tensile enough. Strong enough.
It's you don't need to be in like a special.
So the mind stuff is maybe similar to what I've seen in some like. Not it's going to sound like I'm being negative in some of the Systema lines that are
their empty forcey stuff is that and most of the so-called Tai Chi masters that we've seen video of and everything that have like woo-woo skill is that also
mind tricks based stuff
mind
tricks
stuff.
I shouldn't say tricks but you know what I mean.
It's the chi of the mind is how I like to describe it.
Yeah, and when you're
mind energy.
When you're captured by it, the feeling of it is like the intent is led. It's like you can almost physically feel your intent being captured, and then your nerves are reacting to what's being done by the other person's intent, right?
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
And maybe their intent is even an empty one of non-intent, but it's still affecting you through the mind nervous system connection.
Sure.
Definitely. Okay, so let's say the first one is 60% of people that are good, and then that's 30%, and maybe there's 10% of the last category, which is people that actually cultivate qi, the substance.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Which is super rare as far as I can tell.
And you referred to it as a substance?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like, it's funny, when I first heard about qi, read about qi, you know, got into the arts, it was definitely a substance.
Like the sort of beginner's books when you don't really know much about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you gradually get educated, indoctrinated to that, oh, it's a process, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, it's, you know, everything else except a substance. It couldn't possibly be a substance.
Yeah, Chinese.
Otherwise, science would know what it is, and they would have found it.
Yes.
Right? So you get indoctrinated out of that. At least that happened to me for some time. And then I realized much more directly through experience, oh yes, it is a substance. So I think it's a substance that is developed and built under certain conditions.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you use that for your art, whether it's Qigong or Tai Chi or whatever, that's the sort of third category. So I break it up into these three ways: physical, mental, and proper internal Qi.